Welcome to Reverb, where we offer sound business advice that resonates. I'm your host, Jason Kallio. My special guest with me today is a certified executive business coach, Linda Cohan. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Jason.
Today we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. And before we get to like a definition of emotional intelligence, do you think emotions impact leadership performance?
Well, let me ask you a question. If I asked you to think about a leader or a manager that you worked for who you greatly admired, can you give me 3 traits or characteristics that you would use to describe that person?
Yeah, probably my first real boss that I had, he was a real gentleman, which I was very impressed by, just the way he carried himself, etc. Also, he was a very good listener. I felt like he always was listening to you, wasn't cutting you off or anything like that. And then also, he was a diplomat. This guy, he could tell you that you were going to die tomorrow, and you would think it was a good idea.
Really?
I mean, that's how good he was. Yeah, it was very smooth.
Well, it's interesting because those traits and characteristics that you told me about were not IQ. They weren't his technical skills, but they were his emotional intelligence skills.
Yeah, so when we're talking about IQ, that's your intelligence quotient. Everybody's familiar with that.
Right.
Einstein, high IQ.
Right.
But emotional intelligence, there is an EQ.
Right.
An
EQ.
Yeah, emotional quotient attached to that. So how do we define emotional intelligence?
Emotional intelligence is the ability to manage yourself and your relationships with others so that you can create high performance and achieve the business results that you want. And what's great about it is that it's really broken the code on how to help managers and leaders perform more effectively for their organizational success. So there are 5 components to emotional intelligence: self-awareness and self-control, the ability to understand yourself and use your emotions in a positive and negative way productively, empathy, the ability to understand the perspective of others, social expertness, the ability to develop strong bonds and relationships so that you can express caring, concern, and conflict in a healthy way, personal influence, the ability to inspire and lead others as well as yourself, and most importantly, vision and purpose, the ability to bring authenticity to your life and live out your values.
So these are all things that we need as leaders.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Would you say it's fair to say that the reality is leadership, it's not because you run your own business. Leadership is in all aspects of our life. Yeah. And so who needs emotional intelligence?
Well, anybody that works, anybody that has a job. It doesn't matter if you're a senior level executive or you're an hourly employee. You need to be able to work effectively with others. And in fact, emotional intelligence really is what separates an average performer from a very high level performer. And the higher the level of the job, the higher the more authority and technical necessities, the more critical than ever for your business success. And I'm talking about hard results here. I'm talking about profitability. I'm talking about higher sales, lower costs, and then also the softer results, which are morale, employee retention, performance. These are all critical to anybody's success in an organization.
Is it fair to say, because most people, and I'm probably one of them that has thought it in the past, that this might be considered a soft skill, your emotional intelligence, but as you're stating, there's a huge impact. There is a major result that happens to the bottom line if your management, leadership, maybe even your company's overall brand doesn't have this emotional intelligence component attached to it. That's fair?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it is such a competitive world today. Everybody is competing, and your ability to be successful is your ability to have strong relationships. And relationship management is emotional intelligence. People want to do business with people they like and they trust.
Right.
And they aren't going to stay with you or continue to work with you when they can go across the street and work with somebody else that does exactly what you do. unless they have a relationship with you. So yes, it is absolutely, to me, more critical than your technical ability or your intelligence quotient.
Because it's all process when you're trying to run a business,
Right.
from step A to step to Z, going A to Z. And I think, like sales guys, oh yeah, sales 101. We need to build that relationship with our customers moving forward. But we do seem to lose that, I think, internally, except for when there's somebody we want something from. Oh gosh, they can really make my life difficult, so I better be nice and friendly to them. But that doesn't count. Really, the reality is we should be doing it in all aspects of our business.
Right, because I mean, a leader really has a ripple down effect to the employees. I mean, if a leader embodies those traits and characteristics, he's going to enable the culture to start to think like that, where people can work collaboratively and cooperatively to achieve better success in their businesses.
So how does that relate then? Teamwork. It would be very important.
Well, unless you work by yourself in a closet, chances are you're working for people in a team or a group. And if teams can't work collaboratively, or if they can't cooperate, how are they going to get the results they need? And that's up to the leader to instill that in their employees, the ability to think and work together more effectively.
So when it comes to being a coach and this whole concept of everybody working together, normally does a business coach start at do you work with a complete organization, or are you only working with an individual, like the leader itself, and then have them push it down, or how does that work?
It can be. I can work both ways with an individual. I work with the leaders, the higher level managers, the business owner, to help him understand how important his emotional intelligence competencies are and how they impact his organization and their bottom line. And it also can be done in terms of training teams together to understand how important it is for them to collaborate and cooperate and to build those relationships so that they can be more effective, not just on a day-to-day basis, but in their work and their ultimate outcome.
So as an executive coach, then you would go in and you would do, is it fair to say team building? Is that?
It's team building, yes. It's considered team building, but it's also considered being able to help people be more collaborative in their approach to working together. It's not going in and helping them, sing Kumbaya.
Right.
It's giving them some real tools, some real behavioral tools that they can use on a day-to-day basis so that they can work more effectively.
Now, are these tools that I can use as an individual, not just, though, in my business life? Would you say that these things clearly are crossing over to life in general?
Absolutely. One of the things that I work with a number of pretty senior level people, and one of the biggest challenges for them is to not get emotionally hijacked. And by that I mean not letting their emotions overcome so much their behaviors that they end up doing something that they regret, like screaming at a staff or pulling back and shutting down. I call it the fight or flight syndrome. And when you're working in a stressful environment and then you end the day and you go home, what's keeping you from not doing that to your spouse, your partner, your children? You need to learn those skills so that you, as I said, can be more self-aware, understand what your triggers are, so that you know how to manage those emotions, whether they're positive or negative, in a more healthy, productive way. And that happens at home, it happens at work. And once you learn those skills, hopefully you can use them in all areas of your life.
That makes a lot of sense, because certainly people say, oh yeah, well, work's one thing and then family's another. But that's not really the balance.
No, you have to have balance in your life. And that's the other thing. And a lot of people are driven and work too many hours in a day, and they need to have a balance where they take time for themselves so that they can regroup and re-energize themselves so they can go back out there and be more effective in their leadership roles.